Hello. Today you can see I'll be doing a video on Colosseum. I think this came out in 2007. I know, I think it was uh, Tasty Minstrel Games redid this, I think back around 2017 or something like that, but I have the original version. Decided to do a video on this because I've got the first gaming group in a year coming over first weekend of March, so this is one of the games that came up in our random pick of games to play. So I'm going to do a how to set up and play on this version of Colosseum. I have no idea if there's differences in the newer 2017 version, so I'll be going over this version. Alright, as usual, first thing you do is place the game board in the middle of the table around all players, or between all players. It's a pretty good sized board. I guess it's kind of depicting some Roman area, city, or something like that. That looks like a volcano. Anyway, put the board in the middle of the table. Alright, then you'll get the podium, Emperor's medals, star performer awards, your dice, your Emperor's loges, your season tickets, and your arena expansion tokens, and put them near the side of the board. Alright, then you hand each player one of these summary sheets. You hand them a scoring marker, their 2 arena pieces in their color, and 30 coins. 30 values of coins. So I'm going to be playing 3 players, so I got blue, green, and red. Now I'm not going to give each one a scoring sheet because they're big. I'm just going to set those to the side. But normally you would give each person one of those summary sheets. All the remaining coins you just set somewhere near the board. You take the scoring markers and put them up here next to the scoring track, spectator scoring track, just off the board, so you can start with 1 when you start getting points. Then you take your green event asset tokens. They have this face with a green mouth. Mix those up, and then you're going to put 1 on each of these spots in the 5 market spaces. So like so. And I'll go ahead and finish that up off camera. Alright, so you fill all 5 markets with the green-backed event asset tokens. Then, depending on the number of players, you'll distribute the remaining green-backed asset tokens to the players. So in a 3-player game, they get 8 tokens each. And just to mention, in a 4-player game, they would get 6 each, and in a 5-player game, they would get 5 each. So the players will take their event asset tokens and put them face up in front of them in their play area, and any remaining tokens just go face down by the side of the board. You'll then take all your orange-backed event asset tokens. They have like a lion face with a orange in the mouth. You'll take all those tokens and put them in a bag and just set that by the side of the board. Then, depending on the number of players, players will place their arenas on designated spaces on the board. You can see I placed this one here. This is for 3 and 5 players. If there was 4 players or 5 players, one would go here. But we need to put one up here for 3 to 5 players. Like so. Then we go up. There would be one here if you had 4 or 5 players. There would be one here if you had 5 players. And we need to place one more here since we have 3 players. Alright, so we got green's arena, red's arena, and blue's arena on the board. It should look like that. Alright, then you take your Emperor figure and put him on his starting space on the board. You take your two console figures and place them on their starting space. You can tell by the color. There's a blue and there's another blue up here for this console. And finally you place the three senators on their spaces on the board, and again you can tell by the matching color. Alright, then you take the event programs, which are numbered 1 through 5, mix them up, and give one to each player. So let me do that. Alright, green got number 3, Ode to Aurora. Or, blue did. Green got number 5, Naumachia, I guess. And red got number 4, The Race of Janus. The remaining programs, event programs, if you didn't have 5 players, are just placed back in the box. Then you'll do the same thing with event programs labeled 6 through 10. Okay, so the blue player got Venatio or Venatio, the green player got Drama Ultima, and the red player got Anthem to Cupidon. And again, the unused event programs just go back in the box. Then you'll place the remaining event programs numbered 11 through 30 in numbered order, so starting 11, 12, all the way to 20 here, and then 21 to 30 here. You put them in 2 piles in matching lengths next to the board. You place the game turn marker on the 1 space of the turn track. And the player whose arena is the first arena to the left of the Emperor will take the first turn marker, which in this case is blue. And that's it. We're set up and ready to go over how to play Colosseum. Alright, so how do you play? Well, the object of the game is each player is trying to produce events in their Colosseum or arena and attract the most spectators. And at the end of the 5th turn, whoever has attracted the most spectators to their event will win the game. So the game is played in turns, and each turn is broken up into 5 phases. So let's talk about first phase, which is investing. So in the investing phase, you can do one investment, and you can either buy a new event program, which remember at the beginning of the game you start out with 2, but you can buy a new event program, and these are the costs. You can buy any of these, but one rule is, of course, obviously you have to be able to pay for it, but you also have to buy a program that has to be a higher number than the one you've previously produced. So if you had previously produced 6, and we'll talk about producing the events later, but if you had previously produced 6, you have to buy an event that's higher. Now early in the game that's easy because all the events for sale are all higher than your starting numbers, but later, like if you produced event 16, then if you wanted to buy another event, it would have to be an event that is higher than number 16. Let's just talk a little bit about the events. So the events are programs you're going to put on at your arena, and what they show here is the assets required to put on that program. So this symbol is musicians, so you would have to have 2 musicians like this and 1 scenery. So for example, this is a scenery. To put on this event at your arena, you would have to have 2 horses like this, 2 lions. Well, here's a lion over here. And then you'd also have to have 1 cage, which I don't see one out currently. But anyway, so this tells the events or the assets that are required to put on that event, your arena. This is the score, the number of points you'll get if you produce that event. Now, if you produce this event and maybe you didn't have one of the musicians, you just had one and a scenery, so you'd get the score at -1. And here, if you didn't have two of them, you'd get the score at -2. So you can put on the events. And actually, we should be talking about this more in the producing events. But I just wanted to talk about what an event is. Some of these events that you can later purchase, you can see this is their cost. And then you also have to have a certain arena size. So for these, you will have to have expanded your arena because they take a little bit bigger arena. And for these, you will have to expanded your arena twice because they take a bigger arena. And obviously, they take more events, more event assets, but you get higher scores. Anyway, I just want to talk a little bit about what the events were. So again, one thing you can do in the investing phase is buy a new event program. Another thing you can do is expand your arena, which that would be buying an expansion piece for your arena, and that costs 10 coins. A different thing you can do in the investing phase is purchase a season tickets. That's these. If you purchase one of those, that's 10 coins, and then you put it on your arena. And whenever you produce an event, that is 5 additional spectators that you'll get at that event. And another thing you can do is construct an Emperor's Loge. That costs 5 coins. And if you have an Emperor's Loge on your arena, that lets you roll 2 dice instead of 1 dice when we get to the producing event phase, which we'll talk about that when we get there. But that's what that does. And that costs 5 coins. And when you're during the investing phase, you can only do 1 investment. Now, normally there is some exceptions that allow you to do an additional one, and we'll talk about some of those exceptions a little bit later when we get to talking about emperor's medals and such. But normally you can only do 1 thing in the investing phase. So anyway, in phase 1 investing, starting with the first player, they decide to do one of the one thing in the investment phase, either buy a new event program, expand their arena, purchase a season ticket, or construct an Emperor's Loge. And you don't have to do any of it. You can just pass and not do anything, and then it goes to the next player, and they make their choice, and then finally, the following player, till everybody's had a chance to do 1 investment. All right, once you've done the investing phase, you go to the acquire event asset tokens, and that's where players will bid on these event assets that are in the markets. So starting with the first player that turn, they will choose a market that they want to bid on. And of course, for instance, this guy, he needs 2 horses, 2 lions, and a cage to produce this event. So he's got 2 horses and he's got a cage. He's got no lions, so maybe he would want to bid on this market because it's got a lion. So again, starting with the first player, he picks a market he wants to bid on. The minimum bid is 8 coins. So say he says, I bid on this one, 8 coins. Then next player has an opportunity to bid more or pass. If you pass, you can't bid on that market anymore this round. So the bidding goes around until somebody wins. If they win, then they pay whatever they bid to the bank, and they acquire the event asset tokens and put them in their play area with the other ones. If you win an auction, once you win an auction, then you're out of the phase for the remainder of the phase. In other words, you won't get to initiate bids or bid on anything further. So that's how that works. But anyway, if the person that initiated the bid, so in this instance player 1, if they initiated the bid and they won the market that they were bidding on. Then they take the tokens and you refill the market with, you always refill starting with any leftover green you had, and then drawing out of the bag and refill the market. But if the person initiating the bid did not win, so for instance, if the first player bid on this market but he was outbid and another player won, then the market is not refilled and that player gets to initiate a bid on a different market. So he gets to keep initiating bids until he wins, but the market is not refilled until the person initiating the bid wins. Now, if he won, if he bid on this market and he won, took those tokens, paid his bid, refilled the market, then it would come to the next player and they would get to initiate the bid. And then the same rules apply. If they win, then the market will be refilled. If they don't win, then the market is not refilled and they bid on one of the markets that's left, and so forth. And again, once you win a bid, you're out for the remainder of that phase. You don't get to initiate bids or bid on anything. And so it goes until every player has had a chance to initiate and win a bid. And of course, the last player, he's going to get to initiate and just get whatever's left for 8 coins because he'll be the only bidder remaining, probably. So anyway, once everybody's had a chance to initiate and win a bid, that ends the acquire event token phase, and you go on to the trading event asset token phase. Alright, the next phase is the trading event asset token phase. And again, that starts with the first player. So starting with that first player, he can make offers to buy or sell or trade some of his event asset tokens with other players. And you can spend, you can buy with coins. You can trade your event asset tokens for other event asset tokens, but those are the only thing that can be used in the trade phases. In the trade phase is coins and event assets. You can't trade programs or anything or column or arena expansions or anything like that. You can only trade with coins and event asset tokens. So the first player gets to make offers to any other players he wants. Once he's done, then the next player in clockwise order, he gets to try to make offers for trades or purchasing, and so forth. And you keep going around to each player till they've had a chance to make offers or buy other players or trade event asset tokens to other players. So each person gets a chance to do that. That ends that phase, and then you go to the fourth phase, which is producing an event. So starting with the first player in the producing an event phase, they'll decide which event they want to try to produce, if any. Of course, you can always pass, but to say this guy decided he was going to produce this event. So he puts it out in front of him. Now the first thing you do is roll the dice to try to move the nobles. You would like to get the nobles into your arena because that gives you more spectators, more points basically. So you normally roll 1 dice. If you have an Emperor's Loge, you roll 2 dice. If you roll 1 dice, you can choose any noble on the board. The senators, consuls, or the emperor. You get the most point for having the emperor in your arena. You get 7 points for having him in there. You get 5 points for having a consul in your arena, and you get 3 points for having a senator. So in this case, he rolled a 3. You can choose to move any of them, but it would be beneficial for him to move this senator. So 1, 2, 3. So he would have that senator in his arena for when he produces his event, and that would give him 3 extra points for a senator. Now, these colored spaces, if you move a noble onto one of these colored spaces, that's a resting space, and you get to gain an emperor's medal if you move a noble onto one of those spaces. And when you gain one of those, you take one of these and place it in your play area. And we'll talk about spending those here in a little bit. And as I mentioned, if you have an Emperor's Loge, you get to roll both dice, not just one. And then you can either move nobles separately, so move one noble 5 and one noble 6 on this roll, or you could combine them and move one noble 11 spaces. Alright, so once you've rolled the dice and moved the nobles, then you you choose an event, put it in front of you, and say this is the event you're going to produce. Then you, of course, first you make sure your arena is large enough to produce the event. Of course, these starting events only require the starting arena size. Then you put the asset tokens that you are going to use to produce that event. So in this case, 2 horses. He would show that he's got 2 horses. He would show that he's got a cage. Now he doesn't have any lions, but of course I would have acquired in the trading phase and the acquire event asset tokens phase. I would have tried to get me some lions, but in this case, if I don't have them, I just show that I'm going to produce the event with these 3. So a -2 lions, so -2, I would score 7 instead of 11. So I would get 7 points plus the 3 points for my the senator being in there, so I would get 10 points. And I would then move my score marker up to the 10, and you then get the amount of money for the points you got for that event. So I would get 10 coins into my area. And the points is basically the amount of spectators you attracted to your event. So I attracted 10 spectators, and then of course that gave me 10 money. Now the other way you can get points, obviously, from the event you produce, you get points. Having nobles in your arena gets you points. Remember, if I said if you have a season ticket, if you purchased a season ticket in the investing phase, that gives you an additional 5 points. If you have an Emperor's Medal, one of the things you can do to it is turn it in for an additional 3 points. Another method of getting extra points is these star performers, which we hadn't gone over yet, but we might as well talk about that now. So if you ever have at least 3 of the type of one of these star performers, like he's got 3 gladiators, and that is more than any of the other players have, which in this case he only has 2. So because he has at least 3, and that's more than the other players, he would get to have a star performer, and that adds 4 spectators to his show. So if he had that, he would have got, which he should have, because at the beginning of the game, if you have 3 and nobody else has that many, you get the star performer immediately. So he would actually have gotten additional 4 spectators attracted to his event. Now, later, if somebody ends up having more star performer, like if later this guy got 4 gladiators and I still only had 3, he would get to take the star performer award away from me. So that applies to any of these musicians, priests, lions, what was that guy? Comedian, horses, and ships. So you can have the Star Performer Award for any of those if you have at least 3 and more than any of the other players. Anytime if you fall below 3, then you lose it. if another player ever gets more than you, then they get it from you. Another way you can get spectators is in later turn, like if in the first turn I produced this event, I could turn it over, and then on the next turn, if I produce this event, any events that you've previously produced that you've turned over give you an additional 5 spectators to your score. Now, if you've turned one over and you decide later you want to produce that event again, you can turn it back over, but then of course you're not going to get the additional 5 spectators for that. And one other thing about producing events, if you produced your first event and you got 10 spectators, so your score is 10, on the next turn you produce another event and you only get 8 spectators or 8 points, you do not move your score marker. It only ever moves up higher if you produce an event that scores higher. So if you ever produce an event that scores lower than when your current marker is, you do not move your marker. You don't go up an additional, if I produce my next event produced 8, I don't move my marker up 8. It's always at the point of the highest event you ever produced. So in this case it would stay at 10, but I would still go ahead and collect my 8 coins for the event that I produced that only produced 8 spectators. One other thing that can add to your score is podiums. If you have a podium on your arena, that adds an extra 3 spectators. So I think that's the final thing that can add to your score. So let's talk about podiums, how you acquire those, because that's not one of the things you can purchase in the investing phase. So at the beginning of the phase 5, you whoever is highest on the scoring track, when you get to that phase, then they earn the podium and they get to put that on their arena. Then the next thing you do is phase 5 is the closing ceremony phase. So then the next thing you do after the leading player gets the podium, then each player has to discard one event or one asset that they used in the event they last produced. So if I had produced this event, I would have to discard one of the assets I used to produce that event, and it goes out of the game. So each player has to do that. They have to discard one asset that they used to produce their event that turn. Then whoever is the last place player on the scoring track gets to take one event asset from the player who earned the podium that round, or whoever, or that would be the player that's got the highest score at the end of that turn. They get to take one of their assets of their choice. Now, the only thing, it can't be one of the special assets, which we don't see on the board right now, but there are some asset tokens that can come out. One of them is a Joker. It has like a lightning bolt, and that can be used as a wild. It can be used as any asset. So the player can't ask for one of those if you have it. There's an Emperor's Medal asset that you can, when you get that, you turn it in for an Emperor's Medal. And there's a additional action asset which you can use to take an additional investment in the investing phase, or it can be exchanged for an Emperor's Medal. So if you have one of those types of tokens, the last place player cannot ask for one of those. It has to be one of the standard tokens. And that's pretty much it. That's the closing ceremony. Then you'll move the turn tracker down to the next turn and start again. Oh, then the first player token will move to the player clockwise. And then you start the next turn again with the investment phase. And we mentioned earlier, if you have an Emperor's Medal, that you can use that, turn that in to score an extra 3 points on your event, or when you're rolling your dice to move the nobles, you can spend it to move a noble, either one. Normally, when you're moving the nobles, they always have to move clockwise. But if you spend one of your Emperor's medals, you can move a noble 1 to 3 spaces in either direction. Or you can just turn in an Emperor's medal for 6 coins at any time on your turn. Or if you have 2 Emperor's medals, you can turn both of those in to give yourself one extra, where you can do one extra investment in the investing phase. So like I said, normally you can either do one, buy an event program, expand your arena, buy a season ticket, or construct an Emperor's Loge. If you turn in 2 Emperor's Medal, you get to do an extra one of those. And so you just keep playing until at the end of the 5th round. Now at the end of the 5th round, you don't do the closing ceremonies phase where you award a podium or discard an asset or any of that. So the end of the 5th round just ends at the end of the producing event after each player has had a turn to produce an event. Then at that point, whoever has the highest score is the winner. If it's a tie, then it's the person that has the highest score and the most money. If that's still a tie, then it's the person that has the highest score, the most money, and the most star performer awards. So that's how you play. It's pretty simple. Why don't we go through a few example turns, and then we'll wrap this video up. Alright, I think I've got everything set back to how it should be at the beginning of the game. So we'll start with first player, first turn, investing phase. So he gets to decide if he wants to buy an event, expand the arena. Really, no point in buying an event at this point. I don't even think you can, because you have to buy one that's higher than the event you've previously produced. He hasn't produced anything yet. Expand the arena, purchase a season ticket. I'm going to say he wants to go ahead and expand his arena. So he's going to spend 10 coins, and he's going to, you find the expansion piece of your color. Now you can expand either way. So he's going to expand this way and make his arena a little bigger. Alright, that's his investing phase. Remember, you can only do one unless you have 2 Emperor's tokens or a special asset that lets you do another one. So come to the second player. Let's just say he's going to buy a season ticket. So he's going to put his he's going to take his 10 coins, buy a season ticket. He's going to put that on his arena, and then that'll be worth 5 extra spectators when he does an event. Finally, we come to the green player, and we'll say he's going to construct an Emperor's Loge. So that's only 5, so he's going to get 5 coins back. He gets an Emperor's Loge, and he's going to put that on his arena. And remember, that allows him to roll 2 dice in the produce event phase. Alright, well that's the end of phase 1, investing. So now we go to phase 2, acquiring event asset tokens. That's when we bid on the markets. That's player 1 initiates the first bid. Remember, the minimum bid is 8. Like we talked about earlier, he probably needs a lion, but he couldn't use a musician to do this one. But he's going to bid on this one. He says 8 coins for this one. So that now the red player decides if he wants to bid more than that. Oh, and we do need to give the star performer for gladiator, since he has 3 and nobody else has that, and nobody else has 3 of anything, so nobody else would get a star performer. So he starts out with a star performer for gladiator. But anyway, we're back to the bidding. He decides if he wants to bid more on this market than 8. What does he need? Does he need a lion or a gladiator? Not really, so he says he's going to pass. This guy, does he need that market? No, he's going to pass. So they're going to let this guy get it for 8. So he's going to turn in his 10, get 2 back, and he gets to get these event assets. and add them to his assets. And because he initiated the bid and he won, then the market's refilled. So we always use whatever leftover green, so that's that. And then we'll dig in this bag for the other two. Alright, we got a chariot and some scenery. Alright, well, so now he's out of the bidding because he won one. So now we come to the red player, so he gets to initiate a bid. He needs some horses if he wants to do this race of Janus, or he needs some musicians if he wants to do the anthem to Cupidon. But let's say he wants to get some horses, so he's going to bid 8 coins on this market here. Now, this guy, he doesn't really need those. He could use some ships, but he sees another one where he could get ships, so he doesn't want to increase his bid to 9 to get that. He's going to go ahead. Although if he did get those 2 horses, that would give him 3 horses and he'd have the star performer. But he's going to say no. He's going to pass. This guy isn't involved. So this guy goes ahead and wins his bid. So he bid 8, so he gets 2 back. And he gets these assets. So they go over here in his area. And it gets refilled from the bag. Oh, there's one of those special ones. I really should have only pulled out 3. But, so we got a priest, a gladiator, and this is the special one where if you get this, you can either turn it in for an emperor's coin or use it to take an extra investment action in the investing phase. But he's done. So he's out of the bidding and investing. So the only one left is green player. So there's not even going to be, I mean, he's going to pick one market and pay 8 coins and automatically get it. So he likes that one with the special because he wants that special token. So he's going to bid his 8. So we'll put his 10 in, get 2 back. He'll get those. So he could turn that in right away for an Emperor's Medal if he wanted to. I think he probably wants to save it to do 2 investments in the investing phase. But now we go ahead and refill the market. So let me draw 3 tokens out. I actually drew 4, but alright, so the markets are all refilled. That's the end of the acquire event asset token phase. Now we go to the trade event asset tokens. So first player, he's up first to make any offers to buy or trade. He needs a lion, and player 3 has a lion, or player 2, the red player. So he doesn't really have anything that he thinks the red player would want to trade for as far as an asset. So maybe he makes an offer to buy the lion. He says, I'll pay you 2 coins for the lion. And the red player says, no, that's not enough. I want 5 coins. And this guy's like, damn. Well, how about 2 coins and a decoration? And he doesn't really need the decoration because he's got one, but he says, alright, well, I may need that in the future. I'll take 2 coins and a decoration. So he gives him the decoration and 2 coins, and he gets the lion in return. So that's all the trading he wants to do. He's done. Well, so it's the red player's turn to make any offers for trades, and he doesn't think he needs anything because he's got his 2 horses and 2 gladiators for this. He does need some musicians, but nobody, well, the blue player has a musician, but he sees that he's going to need those, so he knows he's probably not going to trade that away. He is going to need a priest, but he's got those. He's got decoration, so there's not really much anything he needs. So he just says, I'm not going to do any trades. Well, so now we come to the green player. He needs some ships, or he needs some more comedians, or a torch. Well, he's got a torch. doesn't have any decorations. So he notices that the red player has some ships and some comedians, and he only needs one. So he says, "Well, I'll tell you what. I'll trade you my special event token or special asset token for one ship and one comedian." And the red player says, "Yeah, I'll go for that." So he trades him a comedian and a ship for this special asset token. All right, and that's going to wrap up the trading event asset token phase. Okay, next we come to the produce event phase. It's blue player, the first player's turn. So the first thing, he doesn't have an Emperor's Low, so he just rolls one dice, and he got a 3. So he's going to move the Senator. 1, 2, 3. So he ends up in his arena. And then he shows what event he's going to produce. So he's going to produce this event, Venatio. And so he's got 2 horses, 1 lion, and a cage. So he's -1. He doesn't have another lion. So he's -1, so he gets 9 points for the event. He didn't use a gladiator, so he doesn't get +4 for his star performer, because this event didn't require any gladiators. So he still just has 9, but he gets the 3 for the Senator. So that's 12. And that's really all he's going to get. He doesn't have any other bonuses for anything. So he gets 12 points and 12 coins for producing an event for 12. That goes into his area. And he's done. Alright, we go to the red player. He doesn't have an Emperor's Loge either, so he just rolls 1 die. He also got a 3. So he'll move this Senator. 1, 2, 3. Put him in his arena. Alright, then he's going to display what event he's going to produce. He's going to produce this one, Race of Janus. So that takes 2 gladiators and 2 horses. So he's got what's required, so he gets the full 9 points. Plus he has a season ticket, so that's +5, so that's 14 points. +3 for the Senator, so he gets 17 points. So he'll move his marker up to 17, and then he gets 17 money, so a 10, a 5, and a 2. Comes to his area. He's done, and now we go to the third player, the green player. Alright, well he doesn't, he's got to roll his dice. He does have an Emperor's Loge, so he gets to roll both dice. So he got a 2 and a 6, so he can spend 2 to move this Senator into his arena, and then he's going to spend the 6 to move that consul. Alright, now he doesn't really have enough tokens to produce either of the events, but he says he's going to produce Naumachia. So he has 2 gladiators, but he's only got 1 ship, so he's going to be at -1. So he's going to get 7 points for that, plus 3 points for the Senator, and that's it. So he's going to get 10 points. Also, he'll be there with blue, and that's 10 coins, and that's all he's going to get for producing his event. Alright, so everybody's done producing their events. So that's the end of phase 4. Now we go to phase 5, closing ceremony. So whoever is highest up on the track, which is red, he earns a podium. So he gets a podium. He gets to put that in his arena, and so his next show will be worth an extra 3 spectators. Alright, then we go to the discard 1 event token that was used in your show or your event. So this is the first player. He used these, so he's got to discard 1. He's going to discard his cage, and then that's out of the game. Alright, red used these, so he decides he's going to discard a gladiator. And finally, green player used these, and he's gonna discard a gladiator also. And then finally, the last place player gets to take an event asset token from the leader. So if there's a tie for last place, like there is in this case, then the person amongst the tied players for last that is poorest, has the less money, gets it. So he has 21, he's got 27. So the blue player gets to choose one. Now remember, he can't choose the special asset token, but he can choose any of his other asset tokens. So he's going to take his musician and put it in his play area, and that will end the first turn of the game. So you move the turn marker down to the second turn. First player marker now goes to the next player, which is red, and then you start the next turn. So we'll do one more. Alright, so we start with the investing phase. So the red player decides he's going to spend 5 coins and get a Emperor's Loge. So he's going to add that to his arena, and he's going to go ahead and spend his special asset token, which gives him +1 event or investment. So he's going to do another investment. So this will just go out of the game, and for his second investment he's going to expand his arena. So he's going to spend 10 coins. Let me find his arena piece. Now again, he can expand either way. I think he's going to expand this way. Alright, he's done that. Now remember, you need to expand your arena to put on these higher value shows. Alright, that's his investment. Now we come to the green player, and he's going to do his investment. He's going to buy a season ticket that costs 10 coins. So he will put that on his arena. And finally we come to the blue player, and he's going to do a season ticket also. So he's going to spend 10 coins and get a season ticket, put that on his arena. Alright, that ends the investment phase. Now we go to the acquire event asset phase, and that's where we bid on the markets, and that starts with the first player, which is the red player now. Well, he can still do either one of these shows, but he wants to try to do this one, so he needs some musicians. So he's going to bid on this one. So he does an opening bid of 8 on this market. Green player doesn't really have any interest in that market, so he's not going to bid on it. So we come, these are over here with him. He doesn't really have any interest in that market either, so he passes. So the red player is just going to get it for his 8 bid. So he'll take those assets, put them in his area, and then because he was initiated the bid and he won, we get to refill it. And now it's green player's turn to initiate a bid. Well, he needs a piece of scenery and a boat, so he likes that one. He's going to bid 8 on that one. Red player or blue player doesn't really see where he needs any of that, so he's not going to bid on it. Red's out, so he gets it for 8. So he takes his 10. He's going to get 2 back, and he gets these event assets. Alright, he got those assets, and since he initiated the bid and won, we refill the market. Now there's a special, you get an Emperor's medal if you get that one. And remember, if you don't win the bid that you initiate, the market doesn't get refilled. But come back to the blue player. These two are out, so basically he has his pick. So he's going to pick the market with the Emperor's medal. Nobody can bid against him, so he spends his 10, gets 2 back. He's pretty poor now, but he does get these added to his area, and you immediately turn this in and get your Emperor's Medal. So that just goes out of the game, gets his Emperor's Medal, puts it in his play area, and then we refill the market. Alright, and that's going to end the acquiring event asset tokens phase. Now we go to the trading event asset tokens phase. So he'd really like to put on this show, which requires 3 musicians. He's only got 1. So the blue player has 2 other musicians, but he may need them to put on this show. But he's thinking, well, he may want to put on that show again since it's worth more. But if he puts on this show and not this one, since he already put it on, he'll be able to flip that over and get 5 extra points. So is it worth it to just put on this show? You know, he doesn't know, but he offers him a trade of, I don't know, he's going to offer him a scenery and 4 money for his 2 musicians. Well, blue just refuses him, no. So he doesn't really, there's nothing this guy has, so he just says, all right, I'm done with my trade offers. So we come to green. He decides if he wants to make a trade offer, he needs a yellow, or he needs a comedian. And this guy has a comedian, so he's going to make him an offer of, he says, I'll trade you a gladiator for a comedian. Now, you can't make offers of future. Everything you offer or trade has to be immediate. You can't say, well, if I get something in the future, I'll give it to you. So he just says, I'll trade you a gladiator for a comedian. And he says, no, you got to throw in something else. All right, a gladiator and 2 coins for a comedian. So he agrees. So he gives him a gladiator, 2 coins for comedian. Now he's got 3 comedians now, so now he'll get the star performer of comedian, which if Red had noticed that, he might have said, no, I'm not going to give you that, but he didn't. So anyway, he's done with his trading. And blue just says, I don't have any trades I want to make. I'm done. So that's it. We go to the producing event phase. Alright, red does have an Emperor's Loge, so he gets to roll 2 dice. So he got a 5 and a 3. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll put that console. Oh no, that's a 6 and a 3. So that works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That puts that console in his thing. And 3, he'll move. 1, 2, 3. He's going to move that senator out of green's thing. So that's it. Then he says what event he's going to produce. Well, since he's not, let's see, he's going to be -2 on this, but he can flip this over since he's already produced it to get +5. So that's what he's going to do. He's going to produce this event. He's got 1 musician. Oh no, he's going to be -3. No, that's not going to be worth it to him. He's just going to produce this event again. So he's got 2 gladiators, 2 horses. So that's going to be 9 points. +3 for his loge is 12. +5 for his season ticket is 17. +3 for the senator is 20. +5 for the console, 25. So that is higher than what he produced last time of 17. So he goes up to 25, and he gets 25 coins. All right, he's done. All right, green is going to produce different event. Oh, well, first he's got to roll his dice. He does have an Emperor's Loge. So he got a 3 and a 2. So he's going to move this console 1, 2, 3 and move that guy in there. And he's going to move this senator 2. He lands on a resting space, so that earns him an Emperor's Medal. All right, now he's going to produce a different show. So because he's already produced this show, he can flip it over for an extra 5. So he's got the 3 comedians, he's got the torch, and he's got the 2 scenery. So he gets the full amount of 12 plus 5 for the show he produced previously, so that's 17, plus the console and the season ticket is another 10, so that's 27. So he gets to move his marker up to the 27, and he gets 27, 25, 6, 7 money. Alright, that's going to end his turn. Alright, we come to blue. He doesn't have an Emperor's Loge, so he only gets to roll 1 dice. And he got a 2. That's not really helpful, but he'll just move the Emperor 2 spaces towards him. Alright, he's going to put on... let's see. He's going to put on a different show from last time, so since he produced this one before, he's going to turn it over so he gets his extra 5. So he's going to produce this show, which requires 2 musicians and a scenery. He has them both, so he gets the full 7 points, plus 5 for the previous shows, so that's 12, plus 3 for the senator in there, so that's 15, plus 5 for his season ticket, so that's 20. So that is higher than what he previously produced, so he goes up to 20, and he gets 20 coins. Now he could have turned this in, and so could have this guy, to get an extra 3 points, but he's going to save it. He figures he might need it later to move, or he actually could have used it to move somebody an extra 3, but that still wouldn't help. So he's just going to save that and use it later. So anyway, that's the end of the produce events phase. So now we go to the closing ceremonies. So the leading player, which is green, he earns a podium. He gets to put that on his arena. Then everybody has to discard an asset that they used. So he's going to discard this scenery. Let's see, he used these comedians. Oh, and you know what? He should have got an extra 4 points because he had the star player for the comedians, and he used those. So actually, green should have got another 4. And he should get another 4 money. Alright. Anyway, so he used all of these. He's going to discard his torch. And red used these. He's going to discard a gladiator. And then we go to the asset donation. The last place player is blue, so he gets to take an asset from green. So, I don't know. He's just going to take a... He's going to take a ship from green. Oh, and this guy, actually, because he has 3 lions, he gets the Star Performer Award for lions. That wasn't used in his show, so he wouldn't get any extra money for that anyway. But he should have that just for case in the future. But that's it. Then we go to the next round and pass the first player token to green. Anyway, you can see how it works. The only thing we really didn't show is, obviously now these guys have done these lower point events, so they probably want to, on their next investment phase, they probably want to buy a higher priced event. You can see they take more assets to produce these, but then they're worth a lot more points. But you do have to have your arena expanded to do this one. You have to have it expanded twice to do one of these. And you can see they, again, use a lot more assets, but give you a lot more points. So you can see how the game plays. I think it's a pretty fun game. I enjoyed it. I've played it before with multiple players, not just solo like a lot of these games. And I really like it. And it's quick. You can see we've already gone through 2 turns. There's only 3 turns to go. So you don't have a lot of time to acquire events and different things in the investments. That's why it's good to get those tokens or two Emperor's medals to allow you to do two investments in a phase, because that really helps you out a lot in getting events or expanding your arena or whatever like you need to do. But anyway, this video's gone pretty long. I like Colosseum. I can recommend it. Again, that newer version that's out, I don't know if there's changes or what the changes are. I think it's supposed to be pretty close to this one, but I'm not sure. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.